This video is part 3. Part 3. There are 2 videos before this one. We saw that the Endeavour, the ship, the Endeavour, was stuck on a piece of coral. This happened on the 11th of June 1770. Several days later, let's say on the 17th of June, the Endeavour reached the beach. It reached the coast. They'd reached land. The ship was out of the water on the beach, and the crew could look at the damage, could look at the holes, the damage caused by the coral. Before reaching the beach, until they reached the beach, they reached land, the crew was imagining, fearing the worst. They feared that the damage to the Endeavour was very bad, that the ship was very badly damaged from the coral. All of this time, until they reached land, the crew was fearing the worst. Now they could look at the damage and they could see that it wasn't as bad as they had imagined. It wasn't as bad as they had feared. The damage was bad, but not as bad as they had feared. It wasn't as bad. One of the crew was the carpenter. The carpenter is the person who works with wood. A carpenter saws wood with a saw. He hammers nails into wood with a hammer and a nail. He builds things. He makes things out of wood. He makes ships out of wood. He makes houses out of wood. A carpenter works with wood. When they reached the beach and looked at the damage, the carpenter said he estimated that it would take a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to repair, to fix the damage, to repair the ship. Year, month, week, the carpenter said it would take about 2 or 3 weeks to fix the ship. His estimation, the carpenter's estimation, how much time it would take to repair the ship wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. It ended up taking 6 weeks to repair the ship, not 2 or 3. Double the amount of time. They left, the boat sailed away on the 4th of August. The crew was stranded on the beach for the whole 100% of July. They couldn't leave until August. 6 weeks. This is Europe. Here is England. The ship, the Endeavour, sailed from England. People from Europe who live in Europe are called Europeans. The crew of the Endeavour were Europeans from Europe. They were the first Europeans to see, to shoot, to kill a kangaroo. They were the first Europeans to eat a kangaroo. North, east, south, west. This is the west coast of Australia. This is the east coast. Before the Europeans came to Australia, there were already people living in Australia. The people had lived in Australia for 40,000 or 60,000 years. This is a year. For 60,000 years, there were already people living in Australia before the Europeans came. About 100 years before, in the 1600s, Europeans had made contact with the people living on the west coast of Australia. The crew of the Endeavour were the first Europeans to make contact with people from the east coast of Australia. Those are some of the things the crew did during their 6 weeks stranded in Australia. They left on the 4th of August and they continued to Batavia, their goal. On the way to Batavia, they stopped. They stopped on an island about here, at the tip at the top of Australia. From this island, they could see the mainland of Australia. They planted a flag, the British flag, on the island, where they could see the eastern coast of Australia, the flag of the United Kingdom. They claimed the eastern seaboard, the eastern coast of Australia, for Britain. They called it New South Wales. And then they continued on to Batavia. All right. See ya. Did you like this video? If you want, you can help me to make more videos. You can support me on Patreon. The link is in the description below.